Good morning, everyone. It is the crypto wake up call with myself, Devin, and Alex. What is up? What is up?
What's up? Oh, hey, cool. My screen that I hung up on Friday is just kind of hanging in the background there. It's all good. First episode, so I like
Yeah,
hung it up and then took it partially down, but we're good. We're good to
we're
go.
good.
So yeah, first episode.
First episode. Cool. So it is the wake up call. It is February 17th, 2025. We'll briefly sort of cover the news. We'll get into the charts and then hang out with you guys.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So the big news: Argentina lawyer accused of fraud, cryptocurrency promotion, the Libra. What's your thoughts on that, Alex?
I made a kind of in-depth video on it. It's terrible. It's so Javier Milei, I like him. I what I've seen that's happened. In Argentina, they made a lot of cuts. They cut down inflation pretty heavily. As a result, that seems like a template for what we could have moving forward in the future in other countries as well. And then on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time of all times, it's like, hey, we're going to launch this meme coin on his X account, and it got up to what, $4 billion in market cap, and then it just straight up rugged, and that is not a good look for him. And the thing that matters most relevant to us is like that's $126 million. I mean, $1 million of liquidity, $126 million of liquidity of our money. At least people who bought into that, thinking it was going to be the next Trump. $126 million is now gone. It's out of the system. I don't think it's coming back. So that's those are funds that we're going to have to make up in other ways. I mean, I'm not worried in the long run, but it's a blip, and it's I can tell based on sentiment that people are really upset about that, and really upset with just they're tired of Solana. And so we may go through. Somebody asked, "Is Solana cooked?" I don't think Solana is cooked at all. But there's been a pushback that I've noticed in sentiment towards meme coins in general, and so we'll see where we go from here. But you got to stop buying these country coins. They're all they're doing is trying to drain liquidity. What do you think?
To me, it's just the same story. It's the
Yeah.
same song, different verse. This line is the same as the first, of just like insider trading, corruption, manipulation. And it's the story of like, hey, don't meet your heroes, because no matter how good someone may be, guess what? They're human. They're greedy, just like you and me. And yeah, I think the thing about blockchain, this is, like you said, like a blip on the radar. And this definitely is not great short term. But the thing about the blockchain that I think is good long term, maybe not good short term, is it exposes the insider trading, the corruption, the manipulation, and it's on public display in real time very quickly. And I think it has a way of just, weeding out the bad actors. For me personally, like, I have zero interest in any new Solana coins that are not at least 6 months old, maybe a year old.
Yeah.
That's just where I'm at with it.
I have the exact same feeling. I'm just the Trump coin kind of kicked into gear or something. I saw people make a lot of money on the Trump coin, and my mentality with that is like I made a few bucks on the Trump coin, but not as much as I would have if I bought the moment I saw the tweet from Donald Trump. But then there was a reaction in my mind that I'm just now processing, which is like, all right, I got to find the next Trump coin. I got to get in as early as possible and put in thousands of dollars so that when it doubles or when it triples or even does more than that, then I'll make those really quick gains. And oops, all right, lesson learned. And not that I put money into the Argentina coin or lost money on it, but I will tell you that I did get into that mindset, especially when Melania launched. I was like, all right, I was trying as hard as I could to buy that within, I saw it within 5 minutes of the launch, and it's like, no, these new coins, that's the big thing that I think people are going to get wrecked on, is trying to buy the new coins.
Yep.
Um, I am not. I am still a believer in meme coins. I don't think that a wholesale rejection of meme coins is the way to go here. It's new meme coins and
Yes.
super hyped up new meme coins. So
Yeah, I think I say this all the time. Pioneers get the arrows and the settlers get the land. You want to be early, but you don't want to be first. And
yes,
for me, from a technical analyst perspective, like if it's brand new, people ask me like, "What do you think about X coin?" And it's like, there's 3 days worth of chart history. Like,
yeah.
what do you want me to do with this? Like, I cannot project nothing. I would rather have 6+ months so that I can actually give a fair value projection as to where I think it's actually going to go realistically, rather than just like, well, we'll see, like bing, like that's pretty much what it is as far as new Solana coins.
Yeah.
All right. Tether seeks involvement in U.S. stablecoin regulation. So they sort of like battling to, everyone was sort of like banning Tether, so to speak. And everyone just expected Tether to just like roll over and lay down. But, I think the thing that people don't really understand about Tether is it has like a similar market cap to BlackRock as far as like the stock, and then this idea that it's just going to go away and just like, well, we tried, you know what I mean? Like that to me is not going to happen. And and I think they play a vital role with strengthening not only Bitcoin and the legitimacy of cryptocurrency, but also with the US dollar and the government bonds. I think there is a world where this could be a synergy sort of thing. What do you think?
I got into this is like the whole. I know that this isn't entirely where you were going, but like there was a time that I just completely thought Tether was an all-out scam, and that the collapse of Tether was going to bring about just a wholesale collapse of the entire crypto market. And then, this was a huge thing in 2021 that we're talking about, like this eventual black swan event with Tether. But the more that I've learned, the more that I've come to realize that Tether's not that bad. There's I wouldn't even, when I say it like that, it sounds to me like it could sound like I'm like, there's some bad things. I mean, I just don't know much about any of there's been some wild accusations with Tether that they're just creating this infinite money glitch and things like that. And I've come to find that that's just not true. And then we had William Watson on several weeks ago. And when he mentioned that they're like the 15th largest holder of treasuries, it seems like they have a pretty fantastic thing that they can just tap into. And who cares about the yield on that? It's like they're getting yield on the USDT that's printed. So what are you going to say?
Yeah, I think I just think it's the same thing of like Argentina, like circle back to like whatever the corruption, whatever the flaws are in the market, it's cryptocurrency is just so in your face about it. And so like, do they create tokens, quote, out of thin air? Like, yeah, maybe, but guess what? It's backed by the thing that creates tokens out of thin air. You know what I mean? So I think people are uncomfortable with the fact that it's so in your face of like sort of how much of a Ponzi scheme the US dollar really is. I think people are uncomfortable with that, but they're not really doing anything differently than what the US government is doing. And they're finding a way to profit off of it. And, we've talked about this too, like every single local bottom, it seems like there's Tether FUD. Like, oh, this is it. Black Swan event. We're over. We're cooked. So, yeah.
Yeah, nothing to add. All right, FTX. Go ahead.
FTX. Yeah. So I talked about this in my Patreon video, and I sort of like threw this idea out there. This is more some woo-woo talk, but for every yin, there's a yang. And I find it very interesting that FTX went to absolute zero on the lunar eclipse. November, the lunar eclipse, not only a lunar eclipse, but the blood moon November 8th, 2022. And we have not had a blood moon since that moment. And I find it very interesting that like FTX is making a surgence and you had this sort of like negative event in the market. And when I say every yin, there's a yang. Now this seems to be a very positive thing, and it's going to be right around the next blood moon, which is March 13th. So
Okay.
$18 billion. This isn't, $18 billion. Like that's some sort for real money. And it's my
Yeah.
understanding that they are releasing this via stable coins. So it's just going to be like a direct injection into the altcoin / Solana ecosystem. So for as much as like, Solana is like dead, it's cooked. It's like, well, I don't know. Maybe not actually. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I just looking forward to it. Curious to see what happens. I mean, we just talked about the Argentina coin sucking out $126 million worth of liquidity. There's now the potential of $18 million worth of liquidity. And I want to be
billion.
sorry. Yeah. Billion. Sorry. I meant to say billion. I want to just emphasize, I mean, who knows what people are going to do with that? I mean, I highly doubt that all 18 billion is going to go in, but that's not $18 billion that's going to be added to the overall crypto market cap. $18 billion of liquidity is many, many hundreds of billions of dollars worth of market cap. So we'll see what that means. I mean, again, I don't think it's going to be all 18 billion going in all at once. It could be that somebody needs to pay off their 1992 Ford Taurus or something like that. And then we'll see. We'll see. I mean, even I would even like if it's half of it, that's still a significant amount.
Yeah. I think you brought up a good point of like $18 billion doesn't equal $18 billion of market cap. Because just the other day, well, yesterday, someone bought $32,000 worth of Solnic in one buy, and the market cap went up like almost $2 million.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think that's very significant. That's a point that I wasn't even thinking about or considering. But yeah, $18 billion. That's, I mean, we're talking real money. And the thing about cryptocurrency, sort of people view it like this market cap equals this market cap equals this, and it's this like concrete thing. But in reality, crypto is the most fluid asset in the world. And like the sloshing around of like what you would call like M2, I think it's the best technology that exists.
Yes.
All right, let's get into the charts, and I'll switch to your screen if you want while I pull mine up.
Sure thing. So a couple of encouraging things. I've seen some comments about Pepe ripping and Cardano's ripping. Right now, guys, Ethereum is the name of the game, and Ethereum, based off of what I'm seeing here, looks good. There's signs of hope. There's promise. So for those watching on YouTube, I have the 4-hour chart, and you can see this triangle pattern forming out here. And then exactly what we would have hoped happened with the triangle pattern is a break to the upside. And so where do we go from here? I'm not going to promise anything, but this is exactly what we were looking for. And then you can see with Ethereum breaking out. Yeah, I see another comment about Bitcoin dominance going down. So I was on my live stream on Friday, and somebody asked me about Bitcoin dominance, like, hey, Bitcoin dominance, it's dumping. This looks amazing. Maybe we're at the bottom. And the thing that I pointed out on my live stream is that this was Friday. So this was 3 candles ago on the daily chart, at least. It looked like it was just going to be a wick. And that's exactly what happened below the 20-day EMA. And so 20-day EMA, I want to be clear about something with the 20-day EMA. When I see a cryptocurrency ripping, if I have any desire to buy that cryptocurrency, I will look at the chart. And if it's like really far gone from the 20-day EMA, I am not touching that cryptocurrency. I at the very least, want it to get back down to the 20-day EMA. And so looking at Bitcoin dominance, that's what happened on Friday. It got down to the 20-day EMA. It ended up being a wick. And then it held that as support over the weekend. And now today's move, maybe there's no guarantees, but maybe this is just the first step in Bitcoin's dominance, breaking through some level of support. That's a good sign. Does that mean you should buy now? I mean, I don't know. I mean, somebody said about Cardano. I did not notice Cardano yet. Let me take a look at Cardano here, up 7%. It looks good. It looks okay. It filled a liquidity zone that I had my eyes on. This was one that I was interested in buying. I'd say that we may be close to maybe the bottom's behind us. Maybe. There are certain things that I want to see to confirm that, and I have not looked at charts all weekend. Next thing I'd want to look at is total too. But okay, love to hear your thoughts, Devyn.
All right. So I think, we sort of talked about this the last time we went live. We talked about a V bottom. And the more that I really ponder on that theory, the more certain that I am that is what's happening. And especially, like, I just uploaded a video about this. Someone asked what the EMA is, the exponential moving average. But man, I think that especially with sentiment and the violentness of the crash that just took place, I think that this was our modern day C19 crash. I really believe that, because we talked about sort of the sentiment of this crash right in here, of just how retail was just certain that this was the bull market, 100K, no other way. And then when we crashed, it was like, it's going to zero. Like, it's over with. We're done. There's no possible way that we can have a bull market with these uncertainty. I'm looking for the total 3 while I'm talking, with this uncertain market conditions. And sort of the same thing is, like, people are like, oh, the tariffs are uncertainty in the market. And my perspective on this is there was no other uncertain event that ever has taken place when they had a thing where they didn't know where it came from. They didn't know where it came from. They shut down the entire world. You could not go outside. They didn't know how contagious it was. They didn't know any of that. And we had one of the craziest bull markets that ever happened. So in my opinion, sentiment wise, I think it's a hybrid between the C19 crash and then the economic conditions are similar to 2017, in that we had quantitative tightening, in that we had tariffs were sort of a narrative as well. But especially the sentiment right here, like, this was the same sentiment of, like, alt season is here. We had a violent correction. And let me just, like, get rid of some of this, because it's kind of, we had a violent correction in the it was 62% on Bitcoin, 62% on Bitcoin in the matter of 30 days, and just the sentiment was at an all-time low, right? So 62% correction. Retail was certain that it was over in this moment. Retail was certain that there was nothing that could save us. Retail, the certainty, the clarity of retail. And I'm feeling the same thing. The certainty, the clarity. It was a 35% correction of that there's not going to be an alt season. And I want to be clear about something. Like, when I say alt season, maybe I've done a terrible job of explaining my feelings, but I don't mean that every single 11 million different coins are going to pump at the same time. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
But the right coins, in my opinion, the so-called dinosaur coins, are the ones that are going to perform very well. And what you don't have is a violent crash like this. $200 billion gets sucked out from the market. Maximum fear. I put it on the chart again. Trade the news, you will lose. I put it on here. Maximum fear. When no other market was open, right? We've seen this story before. No other markets were open. The stock market wasn't open. It was only Bitcoin. It was only cryptocurrency. There's a scary event that just comes out of nowhere. Sentiment's at an all-time low. 20 billion gets wiped out from the markets. You have a low wick that holds for 2+ weeks, and then you go lower. So in my opinion, that was certainly our local bottom. And I think between now and May, sell in May, go away, we're going to have a pretty substantial move. And if we were to, if my theory is correct that this was our modern day C19 crash, so what happened until May? So you crashed in March and you went up about a 1.5x on Bitcoin until May. And then it was boring and sideways between May and all the way through October, September. And that's pretty common for the entire market. So if we were to have something like that again, even if it's only like 80%, that would put the total 3 at a new all-time high. And with FTX releasing, $18 billion into the market, I think that's very reasonable, getting to like 1.3 trillion for the total 3, which is everything that's not Bitcoin and Ethereum. What I would measure as alt season. The total 2 is important as well, but what do you think about that?
So between now and May, we are probably 100% in agreement. It's going to be interesting to see what happens after that, because I've been on record saying that I'm a bear for the end of the 2025, but a huge bull for after that. But something interesting from your chart that I just want to point out, like the altcoin crash that Sunday with the tariffs and all that stuff was worse than COVID-19 for altcoins, not for Bitcoin, but for altcoins that was worse. And which blows me away, because I mean, we're talking about tariffs versus a global pandemic that we know nothing about, that we're afraid might kill us all and end the world for a brief period of time, and then we realize what it is. Anyway, don't want to get political or anything, but here's the thing that I do want to draw out from looking at Devyn's chart here is the amount of time it took to get back to pre-COVID crash levels. It was a few weeks. And I want to tell you, those few weeks were not what happened during those few weeks was not, oh, we're all in agreement, it's a V-shaped recovery. What those 3 weeks
100%.
were, yeah, it was fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It was Bitcoin's going to go right back down. It's going to fill the wick. It's going to go, even maybe people were saying even lower than $3,000. We have to fill that wick. And so 3 weeks of just like, well, I don't know. I'm just going to hold on for dear life and not really take advantage of this. And then it took probably another, it took a total of 5 weeks or so for us to all be on the same page. Okay, that was a V-shaped recovery. Same deal with August 5th of 2024. Everyone was saying, a lot of people were saying that we're not only going to fill the wick of that liquidation wick below $50,000 for Bitcoin, but we're going to go even lower than that. I heard a lot of calls for $44,000 worth of Bitcoin, for $44,000 Bitcoin, which sounds insane to us now in February of 2025. But the reason why I'm saying this is the day after that crash on Sunday, that Monday, I made a video and I said it's going to be at least 3 weeks of uncertainty. And here we are 2 weeks and 1 day later. We're seeing some signs of, yes, this is a V-shaped recovery that's taking shape, but there's still a great deal of uncertainty, just like there was during the COVID crash. And so my opinion, my base case, the thing that I've been standing on ever since that massive liquidation 15 days ago, at least 3 weeks of chop, and then we're going to climb from there. My belief is that we are going higher, not lower, from where we are right now. But it's hard when there's all that noise. There's lots of different opinions on X all over the place. So what are you going to do?
I just made a video too. I don't know what I'd love to get your perspective on this, but from my perspective, every day when I go live, there's at least 5 people telling me that we're going to 30K. There's no alt season. Every single day, it's canceled, all this. And I made a video, 10 lessons that I learned in 10 years in 1 minute. And lesson number 7, rule number 7 is retail is always wrong. I've never, not one time have I ever seen retail be correct. Never. And like everyone is retail. Everyone that's not BlackRock is retail. It's like you, me, I'm retail. Okay. But I do my very best. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I do my very best of analyzing the market through the lens of who's actually running the show. And to me, like man, like like I said, you don't get $20 billion wiped out and then you go lower. Like that's not how things go. And I would say that there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty in the markets, even on like the coin market cap, like the fear and greed. I mean, we're at 41 still, and we just got to 35, which we haven't been that low since Japan cut their rates. That was the last time we
Wow.
were that low. And you were like, we were going live together when that was happening too. Like that was maximum fear. And so that's kind of what I have the same sort of feeling, especially not as much with Bitcoin. Like I think it is sort of a yin yang. Like Bitcoin went down more violently, but the altcoins, as you mentioned, went down more violently this time. I would say that the sentiment is way worse on altcoins than Bitcoin. It's not as bad as the altcoins.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing a comment. I don't know if you can see this. We're still figuring things out. I see a comment from this guy, one up here, 30K before 100K. So Bitcoin is at what? 96, 90, somewhere between 96 and $97,000 right now. And here's a comment, 30K before 100K. Okay. All right. We'll see.
Yeah. He's my bear.
Okay. All right.
Every
He's your
day when I
Mr.
go.
Cuz.
Yeah. We have a bet. Like I've said that, in my opinion, people are like, is Bitcoin going to 70K? I'm like, let me remove the anxiety. Yes, it will. But the question is when.
Eventually.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Like it will. It will. Like you don't need to have anxiety about it. It's going to happen. But what I'm betting is that we'll go to 118,000 before we go to 70K. That's my bet.
Yeah.
And I think it could happen
Yeah.
in
I'm with
March.
you on that. What about
It
February?
could happen in February. Yeah. Definitely could happen in February. I mean, like, look at this structure right here.
2
And
weeks
you
or
could,
no? Well,
I
a week and a half.
like, look at like how similar you should be able to switch back to your chart, by the way, if you wanted to. I think I gave you access to be able to do that. Oh
I'm
shoot.
fine not doing that right now.
But this structure, I mean, man, like it, the more I'm looking at it, the more it's like, man, this looks so eerily similar. Like it's not even funny. Like the more we zoom in on it, the more it's like, man, that is like even how it's kind of like slowly, gruelingly, anxiety like recovering in this stage in here. Like you mentioned, it wasn't like everyone was like, oh, this is a V shape. Everyone was freaking out until
Yeah.
Bitcoin was making a new all-time high, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything to add to that. I have speculated, and maybe I'm wrong about this. So I guess I do have something to add to that. Seeing where Bitcoin dominance closed last Sunday, 8 days ago, my mentality was that Bitcoin had to lead the charge for the next leg up. And it might still have to do that. But I'm hearing a lot of comments. I'm reading a lot of comments about people being really excited about Ethereum today. And I'm like, all right, it did break out. I already mentioned that, but I mean, still there's a long way for Ethereum to go before it hits even its 2024 high, or it's for sure its previous all-time high. And Bitcoin, I mean, what does a Bitcoin at $118,000 do for the rest of the market? I think that would, yeah, I think that's more likely short term than a move for Ethereum above $4,000.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm crazy for saying that. Yeah. And then, I mean, Ethereum at a new all-time high would bring a new level of whatever, of excitement, of we'd forget about this early start, right, to 2024, where we were all told that all of our wildest dreams were going to come true. And then it went the opposite direction. So, or sorry, 2025.
By the way, if you're watching on TikTok, you can see our
Yes.
charts and everything that we're talking about on YouTube. Both of us are live right now at your boy Ski and at World War Bitcoin on YouTube.
That's right.
So
much better viewing experience.
Yes. I would like to sort of like talk about one thing about there seems to be like this narrative, this theory of, you know, institutions aren't buying altcoins. And that's sort of that's a narrative. For one thing, I would say that's not true, because I'm seeing them file for Dogecoin ETFs. I'm seeing them file for Bonk ETFs. I'm seeing them file for Trump coin ETFs. I'm seeing them file for Solana ETFs. So for one thing, that's just not true. But for another thing, it's only about 7% right now is owned by the institutions. That may be BlackRock, but call it 20% for all the institutions is Bitcoin. The rest is still
Bitcoin?
right.
Yeah.
The rest is still the OGs and sort of like the rotational theory. Like, I think that $118,000 for Bitcoin would definitely see some pretty significant things for the altcoin season, or for the altcoins.
I've been saying, you know, I've said that for quite a while. It's kind of I'm kind of tired of hearing that objection all over the place, because I mean, look at what happened in when was it I mean, every time. Look at what happens every time, but look at what happened in 2021, early 2021. Bitcoin crossed its all-time high and shot up almost immediately. It almost doubled within a span of like 2 weeks. And then we started seeing distribution in Bitcoin, and it was rotating. We saw that happen, and that went to altcoins. And so this time around, it's the same thing over and over again. People are saying, well, the institutions are only buying Bitcoin. They're only buying Bitcoin. Well, what about the 95% of other people who are currently holding Bitcoin who are not BlackRock? Or maybe it's 90%.
Right.
And they, at some point, you know, they're not of a mindset that they're going to be holding this forever. They're of a mindset that they want to make as much gains as possible. And so they're going to be rotating but at some point there's going to be, I think, a heavy rotation from Bitcoin to altcoins, from people who are just, forgive the word, normie people who just want to make gains. And I'm not selling my Bitcoin for altcoins, but I have plenty in altcoins as it is, so I'm not going to worry about that anyway. But there's going to be plenty of people, as it always has happened. 2017, 2013, same deal.
Yep. Rule number 7: retail is always wrong. I've never seen them be correct, not one time. Never have I ever. Rule number 1 was patterns are overrated. Patterns are overrated. Because like people will be like, what about the bull flag? What about the cup and handle? It's like, listen, BlackRock's not trading cup and handle. BlackRock's not trading head and shoulders. That's the thing that's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how many times I say it, but I don't know how many times I say it. Somebody said, who is Devyn? Because I put Devyn and Alex. But people have this idea. It's like they're going to outsmart BlackRock. It's like BlackRock pays trillions of dollars to ensure that you do not outsmart them. I assure you, your head and shoulders pattern is not slipping by BlackRock. I assure you, what your wife's boyfriend told you, the little insider tip that he gave you, is not getting by BlackRock. And the sooner that you realize, you, me, everyone realizes that we are retail, and there's hammers, there's nails, there's predator, there's prey, and we're not going to outsmart them. The sooner we realize that and start thinking how they think and analyzing the market through their lens, I think the better that we're going to be. And what they do is they make it as painful as possible for retail, both to the upside and to the downside, and sideways too. A lot of times, like the boring chop of like 6 months, that's almost more painful for people than a crash.
Yep. Because it just feels like you're on a cliff and you're about to fall off.
Yep.
That it's just this nonstop feeling of impending doom during a chop, after having already climbed, at least for Bitcoin, a decent amount, but also, I mean, with the total altcoin market cap. I mean, so, I mean, you think about this compared to 2020 going into 2021, we were in, there was very little belief. I mean, you think about when altcoins started even rising a little bit, it was just a little bit by the end of 2020. And then, you know, late 2020, early 2021, they exploded. And that's, I think, what they would want is for altcoins, because sentiment was so low throughout the bear. I mean, Cardano was ranging between 2 and 4 cents the entire bear market until the end of 2020, and then it started climbing. And so this time around, we were a little too smart, and we started loading up on altcoins a lot sooner. And we saw altcoins make these gains a lot sooner and get to certain retraces, like in March of 2024. That we didn't hit those retraces until January, February of 2021, the previous time around. And because we're all ready this time, you know, there was all that uncertainty throughout 2019, 2020, what's going to happen with these altcoins, and then boom, big altcoin explosion. Buy in the bear market would have made sense. This time around, they're just yanking us around a lot more, because that's what we're all wanting to do, is make these insane gains on these altcoins. So it makes sense. It's unfortunate. 2024 was an incredibly difficult year to navigate through, and 2025 has not been easier at all. The previous bull run was much easier to navigate through.
Yeah. I just think it's the same song but a different verse. I think we have a hybrid of 2017 and 2021 bull run is what I think, especially the sentiment on altcoins. And the macroeconomics of 2017 of like tightening, quantitative tightening, because that's a narrative that I keep hearing too. It's like you have to have quantitative easing in order to have a bull market. And from my perspective, we kind of talked.
Been saying that.
You've been saying that. From my perspective, when they start is bad. And I could be wrong on that. I'm not a fundamental analyzer.
Yes. No, I 100% agree. Yeah. So, I mean, all right, let me back up for a second. Going into 2025, oh man, this is going to be the golden bull. You're going to make so much money. It's going to be amazing. And then we got just the terrible start to 2025. And all throughout 2023, 2024, I was pointing to the environment being much different than, and I would even say different than 2017. But the environment being much different when we are in a phase of tightening. Now, I would not say bull run. You can have a bull run during a phase of quantitative tightening, because that's what we've had. You know, we saw Bitcoin go from $16,000 to $109,000 in a phase of quantitative tightening. You can certainly have a bull run, but I still do maintain this. I don't think that we're going to be able to reach as intensive levels of euphoria in 2025, whatever, as long as we are in a phase of quantitative tightening. Now, what I've been saying about when quantitative easing begins, I'm not saying that that's the peak. I would actually say that that's the bottom, and that's the time to be buying. And that's when you start talking about your 100Xs from extreme discount levels. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think with the tariffs, and I'm not a fundamental analyzer, I'm a technical analyzer. And if you were to categorize me, if you don't know who I am a technical analyst, and I think sentiment and emotional intelligence is my strengths. So I'm not a fundamental, like I don't sit here and predict what I think Jerome Powell is going to do and all this and that. But I will say, give my two.
I do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes our show good. I will give my 2 cents on it. Is like, I think with the tariffs, there's a strong chance, and I've told you about the 7-year cycle into 2029. I think that there's a strong chance that they just keep delaying the easing, and then we have like a big one. If we're ever going to break the 4-year cycle, everyone sort of assumes it's going to be to the downside. And I think there's a very real possibility that we have the quote, the roaring 20s before the big one in 2029.
We had that 100 years ago.
Right.
So, I mean, the funny thing is, like, I think, so there's where we have some agreement. I mean, we've talked about this before. I think we are going to break to the upside between now and the next halving. So
yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's a possibility. I'm not saying that this is the highest probability. That we just don't. I think the highest probability is that it still sticks to the 4-year, and we still like make all-time highs, and then we still go back to 70. I think that that's still the highest probability, but I do think that there is a realistic chance that once we break to 118, like we may never see a sub triple digit, not triple digit, sub 100K Bitcoin like ever again.
Oh man,
like if they for real do what they say that they're trying to do, and believe it or not, there's like 27 different states that are applying for the Bitcoin strategic reserve. If they do what they're saying they're trying to do, I think that it's not out of the realm of possibility. Again, I'm not saying that this is the highest probability, but I don't think it's not possible.
Yeah, I don't even. I think it's an incredibly high probability that we're going below 100K again. And I mean, not that I'm disagreeing with you here. Is there a chance that we would never see sub 100 again? There's an above zero chance. I don't even think. I'm not even considering that. I'll just prefer to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. So what do you think is, do y'all think Solana has topped? No, I do not think Solana has topped. What do you think?
No. I mean, sentiment right now is incredibly low on Solana. And I think that it's just this combination. I mean, I think that Javier Milei thing, the Libra coin, has really, really messed. Like, I had it with Solana. I think people are really frustrated with Solana right now, as they should be. But Ethereum. Sentiment on Ethereum has been much lower. Like, sentiment on Solana now is not really all that low. Sentiment on Ethereum, even now, even though Ethereum's having a nice little run today, has been consistently much lower than Solana. And where's Ethereum going from here? I mean, I think it's going to hit a new all-time high. I think it's going to do pretty well. And so if Ethereum can do something like that, then I think Solana can for sure. So what? Sentiment for Solana is this low at this point in time. I'm not going to worry about it. So, and I'm seeing a lot of bearish comments on Solana. So it's either topped or consolidating. That makes me want to buy Solana. I actually think that I had a long set on Solana at 180, and it might have filled during this live stream. We'll see. So
I'm not. I don't know where my trading view chart went because I'm so used to using the. I'm so used to using the.
I have Solana open on mine.
Yeah, you go ahead and switch. I'm gonna try to get mine again.
I don't know how. Oh, there we go. So, I mean, Solana, here's the deal. If there's a time to buy Solana, it's now. It's like it ranged for how long was that? I mean, we're talking from March until I think the day of the election. From March until the day of the election, we ranged between 125 mid 120s to mid 180s, and then we flipped that and held it in, and now we're in a new range, and we've been in that range since November 5th. And what's the bottom of that range? Well, it's the top of the previous range. It's pretty simple. So I'm an eager buyer, I mean, or at least trader of Solana right now. So bumping again, I don't care. We're guys, if you are so glued to the charts that you're saying in a given moment, oh no, the market's dumping, you're too glued. You're focusing, you're too short-sighted.
Yeah. Like I call it the straw lens.
Yeah.
The straw lens of, you know, someone told me, like, someone said bro's been calling for all-time highs for 6 months in one of my videos. And it's like, is a 6 months a long time to you? Because,
Yeah,
like, let's start
exactly.
there. Like, I think that that might be part of your issue. If you think that 6 months is a long time for investing, I actually don't think you should invest unless you can comfortably have it in the sidelines for 3+ years. So here we go. I found my chart. I'm gonna switch back real quick. But
Yeah.
yeah, to me, like, basically what you said, it's just a breakout of the prior all-time high and a back test. This is not only is this like fine, this is actually what you would prefer to happen for the long-term structure as to where Solana can go. Like, this is a preferred move for me as a technical analyst, because if you just like rip past this and never come back, well, like, guess where you're going to come back to? But if you sort of like build your way up and chop your way up, that's a healthier base to launch off of. And I'll say, like, I'm not that bullish as far as like the next, year or 18 months on the price of Solana. I think it goes to $500 to $600, which, relatively compared to the stock market, that's crushing. But as far as the technology on Solana long term, the more that I learned about Solana, the more that I learned about coding, Rust, C++, the more bullish I am on Solana for sure. Long term, the technology. Now, that's different than the price. Price does not equal what you do. It doesn't equal if you cure cancer. It doesn't equal if you walk on water. It doesn't equal if you, deliver the presents to Santa Claus. That's not what price equals. Price equals supply plus demand. This is my biggest gripe with the XRP army. They have this sort of like notion in their head that, well, what about the Swift? And that equals, all these trillions of dollars. It's like, yes, that does not equal the price, though. Anyways,
Yeah.
it's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah.
Solana's either topped or it's consolidating. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, it's consolidating then. I want to answer a question that I'm seeing on YouTube here. Did ETH only run that high due to NFT craze? Will it ever go over 4.8K again? We gave a little too much credit to NFTs last cycle as being a big euphoria thing. The total NFT market cap peaked at $22 billion. If that was a crypto, that would have been like a top 20 crypto. We tend to think that all the euphoria, I've heard people say this a lot, that all the euphoria went to NFTs in 2021, and that just was not true. NFTs, even though it took a significant amount of our consciousness for those of us who are in crypto, it just wasn't as big as people really thought. And so no, Ethereum went over 4.8K, almost to $5,000 because of demand for Ethereum.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Price equals supply plus demand. That's it. That is the end of the line. Now, I will say this about Ethereum, and I've given my thoughts. I'm very biased against Ethereum. Let me start there. I am biased against Ethereum because I am a miner. I have a pretty serious mining operation. And I was mining Ethereum, and you could not tell me nothing in 2021. All right. So that is my bias, is against Ethereum. But I will say, I believe that Ethereum gets to price discovery at some point in the next 18 months or so. And price discovery for Ethereum is about $7,200. I think that that's very reasonable. I think that that is on the table for sure. I do, however, think that this is Ethereum's last hurrah as number 2.
Yep.
Am I saying that Ethereum's going to go die and it's going to go to zero? No, it's going to continue to go up because we're measuring it in the demand. Supply equals price plus demand. The demand is the US dollar, which is an infinite thing. That's what we're measuring it in. So that's going to continue to go up in price. However, I do think that there's going to be another coin in the next bull market, in like by the time 2029, 2028 hits, that will overtake Ethereum as number 2. That is my prediction.
I agree with you on that. I mean, Ethereum is simultaneously the largest layer one and the worst. I mean, literally everything's better than Ethereum. It's like there's only one way to go, but down. At this time, 4 years ago, you go to DeFiLlama.com, you would see that over 90%, I think it's closer to 95% of all money locked into DeFi was locked in on Ethereum. Now that's closer to 50%. 4 years from now, that's probably going to be closer to 20 to 25%. And eventually it's just the trend is down. I mean, that's still significant. I mean, don't get me wrong. 20%, 25% of all money being locked into Ethereum. Sure. There's ways that it has calcified and it will continue to calcify. But, you know, long-term, there's going to be a new number two. What's that going to be? XRP, Avalanche, Solana, Sui, lots of options.
I don't think it's a case of like, I want to be clear about this, right? Because some people will take this as we're saying that Ethereum is going to lose money. I don't necessarily think that. I think what it's going to be is everything else is going to grow at a faster rate. While Ethereum is still going to be growing, I think that other things are going to grow faster because the technology is cheaper, faster, and just better. Someone says, okay, I want to touch on this. Look good today, then down. Crypto is a roller coaster. Exactly. It is a roller coaster. And, you know, in my opinion, that's how that is the game, is managing your emotions. And this is why I recommend to like 99% of retail. There are some people, anyone can do it. Anyone can be a successful trader if they put in the time, the dedication, and the emotional fortitude. Anyone can do it. I don't think it's like this thing that no one can do, but most people are not willing to put in that type of effort, that type of work. And I think for 99% of people, the dollar cost average way is a better strategy because you take the emotional roller coaster ride out of the equation. What are your thoughts on that?
Correct. Yep. I'll also say earlier in this live stream, which is, okay, you know, we're up this morning, now we're down. I said, I mean, looking at charts historically, we have at least 3 weeks of chop, which means in my, at least we are not having a breakout this week. I'm sorry. I hope I'm wrong. I hope all of our, you know, all investments are much higher at the end of this week than the beginning of this week. But I think in particular, we're going to see more chop. Now, Ethereum, you know, let me, can you switch to my screen on YouTube here? Maybe.
Yeah, you should be up.
Okay. Oh, shoot. All right. It says connection lost and reconnecting. Okay. All right. Excuse me. Sorry, I got disconnected, I think, for a little bit there. But Ethereum triangle formation, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of back test here for Ethereum. So what would that be? Let's say that happened over the next couple of days. That would be a price of around 27, right around $2,700 that Ethereum would drop to. And we would continue to maintain some kind of bullish structure. I mean, if it were to go below that, if it were to lose or go back into, or even go below that, then that's an entirely different thing. But there's room to go for Ethereum. I'm seeing the Solana chart on our, are you seeing the Ethereum chart?
I'm seeing your chart.
But is it Ethereum?
Oh, it's Solana. Yeah, it's your screen, but Solana. That's right.
I've lost the connection. Yeah, it's fine.
All right, I'll go to Ethereum. No worries. So I got Ethereum right here. So
yeah,
what Alex is saying is we went to 28.5 and back testing to 2,700 would be a pretty normal move, and I would have to agree. I mean, that's where all the structure is. We've been for the last two 3 weeks, and then even back here, there's even more structure. So a breakout back test, that's just the most standard move that exists. But I mean, I think it's a good sign.
Yeah.
It's a good, like a nice sight for sore eyes, but you know, it's nothing to write home about just yet.
Yes.
Roadmap for I don't know if you want to. Can you see the comments?
Yeah. Roadmap for he.
Yeah.
You can see it on, and by the way, guys, it's spelled HEEHEE. You can see that all on the website. Right now, we are, I have no problem saying this. We are more in marathon mode than sprint mode. And so we have everything lined up. We have on-chain coming next month, on-chain labs, just like with Solnick. And, you know, so no, we are not going to pay money to get listed on exchanges. They're scams. There's much better options, including what we have coming next month, where you're going to be able to pay with Google Pay, with Apple Pay, with 7 different payment methods, and you don't have to worry about downloading some random exchange that maybe is banned in your country. So when the sprint time comes, we will be sprinting full force. Right now, it's more marathon mode.
Yeah. Maybe you could touch on this. When do you think the Fed will start printing also the debt ceiling?
The debt ceiling. Oh, the debt ceiling. I don't pay attention. I don't pay attention to the debt ceiling. They always raise it. They always will. Always. Yeah. They will always raise the debt ceiling. I remember the first time I ever heard of the debt ceiling was 2010. And I was like, oh no, I'm so scared. What's going to happen? And they raised it. Okay. So let's not worry about the debt ceiling. They'll put on their little song and dance about, oh, this time we're not going to do it. And then at the 11th hour, they will reach some kind of agreement.
Burning the midnight oil.
When will the Fed start printing? Yeah. When's the Fed going to start printing? Well, all right. So not for a while, I don't think, but there's going to be printing in other places. I mean, looking at M2 money supply, even if you, at least for our short-term gains, I mean, I'm not in love with the idea of M2 just going up in a straight line, but if you were to pull up an M2 money supply chart, what you would see is that we are getting back pretty close to our 2022 peak, all-time high in M2, and it you know, cup formation, and it's not going to do a handle because this isn't technical analysis like crypto, but you know, now it's on the upswing and it's probably going to remain on the upswing. The only thing that I do wonder is what's going to, is there going to be, I think we're going to be in this news cycle that started in 2020 of incredible amounts of debasement of currencies around the world. So I think at some point we're going to see a level of money printing similar to 2020. Whether that's 2025 or 2026, I don't know. I would think one of those 2 years. But let me tell you, there is nothing more bullish, at least for your short-term bags. Your long-term bags, you know, get some land, grow some food, get chickens and goats and stuff like that, and survive what's coming after that eventually.
The skis farm
like Devyn did. Yeah. But short term, that's very bullish. Short term, again, all right. Whenever I say short term, people ask how short is short term, and for money printing, I say short term the next year to 2 years. Okay, I'm not talking about like next week.
Yeah,
you can take this next one.
Bitcoin dominance. How high of Bitcoin dominance before a significant drop? Personally, I'm not saying that the start is right now, but if our theory is true of the V bottom, this would be, that was the top. And it has that feel to me right here. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think that this wick right here was a last sort of ditch effort of seeing if there's really any supply to grab up there. And I know, again, back with the apex predators, what do they like to do? They like to make things as painful as possible. So like technical analysts such as myself, and you can even see it, will draw lines. Like here's the critical level in the sand. I drew it like right here. You see the red line. I drew this. I put this here. This is my line in the sand that I put here as a technical analyst. And what did we do? We had a breakout above higher, and then we broke down. And that's a classic fake out, in my opinion. So we'll see. But right now, if our theory, or I don't want to say our, I don't want to speak for Alex, but if my theory of V bottom for the altcoins, I think that this was the top right here. And that doesn't mean that we're going straight down to 20. It'll probably kind of gruel its way. But yeah, that's sort of my theory. What say you?
I am more agnostic. I'm agnostic and hopeful. I'll just I won't leave it at that, but I could see the thing that just kills me, man. And forgive me for being such a negative Nancy, whatever you want to call me, is I really my mentality would have been if we closed that week that it shot up to 64% because of that massive liquidation. If we close that below 61.54%, I would be without a doubt in agreement with you. We closed that week at 61.68%. And so that leaves a little shred of doubt in my mind that we are going to move higher from there with Bitcoin dominance, which my hope would be that would be paired with an aggressive move higher on Bitcoin. And sorry, I have to address a comment on TikTok, Devyn. You're gonna think this is really funny. Ski, you said we were going up. Now you're bearish. You'll have to save your bear when it goes.
I'm not bearish at all. I'm not bearish at all. We're specifically talking about Bitcoin dominance, which is a key factor in order,
which we want to go down.
Which we want to go down in order to have a proper alt season. I am not bearish at all, not even a little bit. There is nothing, and I started off the show saying that comparing the crash that we had in the altcoins, I'm literally comparing it to the C19 crash of like massive liquidation, massive amounts of fear in the market, lowest sentiment that I can remember since the C19 crash. So no, absolutely, I am not bearish. We're specifically talking about Bitcoin dominance, which is a stipulation that we need to fall historically in order to have a nice run in the altcoins. What do you see the bottom for XRP in the macro? Like how macro are we talking about? Like what's your macro? What's your view of macro? Because your view might be different than mine. But it depends on the answer is it depends on how high we go. And I was talking about XRP was my, like how many times, I mean, Alex even knows, like we wasn't even here like 2022 together. Like we were separately making content in 2022 and 2023. But, you know, like how many times did I say when XRP was at 30, 40, 50 cents that, I thought it was going to $5 to $8 and I'd be taking profit at $3.33. And everyone's was like, oh my God, Ski, what the hell? You rugged XRP. And it's like, I don't know like how much clearer I could have been about it. But the answer is if it goes to $8, I think it's going to come back to $3. If it goes to $12, probably $3.50 somewhere in there. Depends on how high it goes. If this was the top for XRP, which I don't think it was, but if it was, it's going to come back to $1.
Yeah, sounds about right.
If ETH moves, it will destroy Solana. So Solana utility products are good buys still. I don't think that that's true. I don't know that if ETH moves, it's going to destroy Solana. I don't know that that's I don't know that I believe that. XRP is too controlled. Like so is everything. So is gold, silver, the stock market, like everything. Like I just don't live in a land where I don't think that that's the case. I just know that that's the case, and that's how I play the game. Go ahead.
So there's the only truth to if ETH moves, it will destroy Solana. No, I mean, first of all, no. If you're talking about short term, bearishness on Solana because Ethereum moves up. I mean, we're talking about extremely short term, and it's one of those things. It's like, no, ETH will have its day, and just like XRP had its day in the sun in November and December, I mean, ETH will have its day in the sun, and maybe, oh my goodness, oh no, Solana will take a little bit of a backseat to Ethereum, and that's okay. It's perfectly fine. That's actually healthy. It's good. But there will still be large volumes of funds being traded on Solana, and then assuming we reach some point where Bitcoin dominance starts to come down, everything's going to, not literally everything, but Solana, Ethereum, XRP, those three at least, and their ecosystems will all do very well, and it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah, I think AVAX you could throw in there, like lots of coins.
Yeah.
If the apex predators control the market, why do we have this 4-year cycle? Well, listen. So I'm going to say one thing is like, that's what we've had. And so I'm going to honor it until we don't. But I'm not like married to this. Like, we have to do this. I'm not married to that. Like, I'm going to let the market lead me. But I mean, when you break it down to a fundamental level, like what is happening on a 4-year cycle? It's economics 101 of supply and demand. The inflation that is printed for Bitcoin gets cut in half. So that means the supply that is available to the market is half of what it was. So that's why it does that, in my opinion. It's not really as much about 4-year cycle. It's more about economics 101 of supply and demand equals price. What do you think?
I've been saying for years now that I'm not a believer in the 4-year cycle, but one thing that if we do have the same thing this time around that we had every other time, it's like, you know, the more all that they care about is being on the winning side, you know, the market makers, and finding creative ways to keep us flat-footed. And they gave us a blueprint in 2017 that we didn't quite follow in 2021. Most people expected a big blow off top in Bitcoin in particular, and got flat-footed waiting for that blow off top that never came. Instead, it was two rounded tops. And this time around, they've been even more creative in keeping us flat-footed. And so, you know, that actually would fortify, if I were to have one, that we are going to have a 4-year cycle, because they're doing a fantastic job of keeping us flat-footed. So, you know, it's there's always some wrinkle every time. There's always some level of, I'm going to screw you guys over every time, and you just got to be mindful of that.
To me, what we call like a rounded top is like the difference between retail running it versus institutions and like bigger actual money. Because to me, the rounded top is just Wyckoff distribution. And I think the longer that and the more mature that this market goes, the more that we're going to see that. And I think we'll probably even see a triple top this time around. Is probably what's going to happen, because that is a technical schematic for Wyckoff. That's my personal belief. So basically, no one knows which way we're going. Me and Alex are both bullish.
That comment.
We are both bullish until May.
I just that comment. It's just so tired and played out. It's like,
I think he's playing.
we can be helpful and we can do analysis. Okay. All right. But I see that from people who are being serious all the time. And it's just one of those things, man. It's like, all right, nobody knows. Okay. You know what? I will grant you that. I always grant you that. Okay. I will always say, I don't know 100%. And I think, honestly, if you were to hear somebody say 100%, you should write that person off 100%. And so, here's the thing that I would appeal to for both of us after we navigate our way through that garbage, whatever, is like, okay, could you look at some track record and see, have either of us been helpful? I would argue that if you look at our track record over the last 3 years, 2 years, whatever, that we both can answer with a great deal of confidence, yes. And so, you don't take our words as gospel truth, but you add it as a tool in your tool belt to help you prevent you from getting wrecked, to help you make some gains and not fill your head with fake dreams.
Yeah. I would argue, I'd put me and Alex's track record up against anybody, to be honest. And I've been wrong before, and I'm going to be wrong again. I'm not perfect, but the probabilities and the odds, like you said, being realistic, where to take profit. I mean, $3.33 was the latest for me for XRP. It's like, my God, like I damn near nailed the top. And did I do that on purpose? No, it's just more of like I had an exit strategy from 2022. And so, yeah, I agree with Alex on that. As far as like, if someone tells you they're right 100% of the time, they are they're a fake guru that you shouldn't be listening to, in my opinion. Yeah, that's almost nonsensical. But I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something, but yeah, our track record, we're not perfect, but we have a damn good track record, and I'm willing to, be measured by not only what I do when it's awesome, but also when it's the most fearful, when everyone's panicking. You measure me by that. He says he's bullish. Ski, is the raffle a buy, or is Gaffin a buy? I don't know anything about that.
Graphane. I don't care. Probably not. It's probably not a buy.
Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah. Oh, what I was going to say is like, I remember my train of thought. Okay. So like what I was going to say is my whole goal in this is not for you to like rely on me to say, like, be your weather forecaster. My whole goal is to teach you how to fish, not fish for you. And if you want to like feast with me, we can do that together. If you want to hang out with me along the way, we can do that together. But my goal is not to be your guru who knows all, tells all, for the right price. That's not my goal in this.
Same.
Yeah. He says, I'm pretty damn consistent. You've been bearish since $89,000. And that's what the first time I heard you say that you were bearish. So yes, you are pretty consistent.
My one up, Mr. Cuz, has just been straight up bearish the entire time, all the way up. So congrats, one up. Are you just, maybe he's maybe he's Mr. Cuz just with a different YouTube account. I mean, he comments the exact same way. It's like, congrats. We've heard your perspective. Now, move along. So,
yeah, it's all good. Sometimes I think he's trolling me. Sometimes I think, I don't know, like he's playing chess for sure. I don't know if he's serious or if he's trolling me or a hybrid of both. But it's all good. Andy had a good pump this then dump. So what do you think is going to kick us off?
I don't think there's going to be any major catalyst in particular other than just navigating through the uncertainty and prices rising. I mean, just the charts, really looking at the charts, just looking at what happens after a major capitulation event like what we saw with altcoins. I think Ethereum, XRP, and Solana, or two of those three, are going to lead the charge and bring some confidence market. It doesn't much to turn things. I mean, you've seen that. We've all seen that.
Yeah. From my perspective too, like by the time we hear about a narrative, it's already done. Like I have this whole entire chart. I've showed it 100 times, but I'll just show you like a snapshot from the last year, from 2023 until now.
Yeah.
whatever was presented to us as what's going to happen, the opposite happened. So the tariffs was a local bottom confirmed. I mean, it's been 2.5 weeks. USA selling their Bitcoin. That was a local bottom, $89,000. Japan cutting their rate. That was a local bottom. Germany, all these things, these scary events that are presented to us, they have the opposite effect. And I think whatever sort of is presented to us as bullish will probably be the top. Like we'll probably just run, and then maybe they do pass the Bitcoin strategic reserve, but then that's probably the top. You know what I mean? Trade the news and you will lose.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm sorry, man. I'm running out of steam here. Coming down with something, but let's see. Do you both think we peaked during, or before May? I would say both of us think that it's a peak, but not the peak between now and 2028.
Yeah. I'm bullish until May, and then just like what's been true for hundreds of years is sell and may go away. That's a real thing and that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to have like this crazy violent crash necessarily, but often what you see is boring. And almost the worst one for retail is not even the crashes or FOMOing in. It's almost the boredom that gets them the worst, of just not generally being interested at all.
Yeah.
The gap between 75K and 80K has to be filled before we go higher. Says who? Like gaps, yeah, sure. Like that's a general rule of thumb. That's pattern trading. And what I've seen, like, is in Hex's case, what did Hex do? Hex had a gap, and then when did it get it? It got it an entire 3-4 years later. So I've seen that just as many times as I've not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this idea that it has to do it right now before it takes off is a fallacy. There was a gap with Hex right in here from 2020, and it just went absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Never to be seen again. Never to be seen again. Never to be seen again. And then it didn't get it until 2024. So yeah, that's a general rule of thumb. Generally, gaps get filled, but like this idea that it has to be filled before we go higher is not true. That's never been true. 7 trillion peak top, the total market lower. Thoughts? I think that's my medium case scenario. My bull case is 8.8. I think 7 trillion is that's my medium case. What do you think?
That's what Alex? I said. My price targets. Yeah. Sorry. When I made my price target videos, I gave it a $7 trillion peak, but I tend to think, all right, again, I'm a bear for the end of 2025. And if that's the case, but then market conditions are more perfect, I think we'll go well beyond 7 trillion after that, when the money printer's turned on. So
let's see here. Y'all talked new money coming into the market. How will it affect Solana, and how much lower will it go? If you're talking about the $18 billion that FTX is releasing, we did talk about that at the beginning of the show. And I don't think that this is bearish, because the way I first understood it was they're releasing Solana. But the way that I understand it now is it's stable coins. So that if that is true, it's almost like a direct injection into the market. And just like what we saw with Solnick, someone bought $32,000 in one buy, that raised the market cap to a significant, it didn't raise it by 32,000. It was a lot more. And I think the same thing could be true. If anything, this could be the quote narrative that could kick us off. To me, it was just, we had a V bottom, and then, retail just needs a reason why. I think that retail is uncomfortable with, like, the charts lead the way and the narratives are a lagging indicator, but that's the truth in my opinion. But by the way, so this is our first show. We kind of worked through a little bit of kinks. We're going to be live to start out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Depending on demand, we might bump it up to Monday through Friday. It's going to be this same time, 9 a.m. Central and 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we'll probably get a third. I don't know if we're going to have a consistent third, but we might have a rotational third person. So
Yes.
So this is going to be the morning show. Me and Alex, at least Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's going to be on YouTube and TikTok. TikTok's just going to be on the phone, and then the better viewing experience is going to be on YouTube. I don't know, and I'll link Alex's channel in my description. I know it's 2 separate live streams, and then Alex will probably do the same. So
Yes.
what do you think? Gonna wrap up
All right.
episode 1?
Yeah. Sorry, I need some water or some tea or something. And I want to tell you all, this is original thought from me. I'm never going to message you. If somebody does message you, they're messaging from Pakistan or Kakistan. That's World War Bitcoin exclusive thought right there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, trademarked. Yeah, none of us are going to message you. If someone messages you, it's thank you for calling AT&Ski. That's not us. Yeah, we're not going to message you. But yeah, we'll be live again on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. This is episode 1. Thanks for working through the Kings with us. Hope to make it better and better as we go. But appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us both on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, at World War Bitcoin and at your boy Ski on everything as far as I'm tracking, right? All right, guys.
WW
Peace,
Bitcoin
love,
on next.
prosperity, guys. First. That's it. All right. Peace, love.